Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Holofeed. How are you guys doing today? My name is Klair.
My name's Thor.
Oh, we're using our made-up names. Well, I'm Ron.
Made up names? Really?
Yeah,
Okay, so
we're using our made-up names.
Okay, no, my real name is Chris Hemsworth. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, my name is Ron. That is actually my real
Ron
name.
Howard.
Yes, Ron.
Why is everybody
Ron?
calling me?
So I directed Solo. What?
Yes. How's the movie production?
Yeah,
going?
we're in the phase
Hi.
right now.
Sorry. Everybody is contacting me.
Claire
on my
forgot
phone.
to silence her phone before a podcast. Huge
You know,
moment.
I as we were starting,
This is why
two
we can't have
people.
nice things.
This is why we can't have nice things. So, getting into today's topics.
Infinity War
well,
can't
wait.
have nice things.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so do any of you guys know what was announced this week?
Wait, is this the anime show or the Star Wars show or the show about snakes? Which show is this?
The show about snakes. This is the Holofeed.
They
Sorry.
found another species of boa.
So
So we're not talking Tron this week anymore.
Rogue
We're done with
Solo,
Tron.
it's pink.
We're done with Tron. Oh no,
okay.
The Tron cast.
the Holotron.
The start of this episode was interrupted by my phone ringing. I'm sorry. This has been brought to you by Old Spice with all of the power.
You smell good while doing it.
I forgot to put on the
Oh well, that is a problem. Anyway, so my name is Claire. This is Chris and Ron. We are here to introduce today's topics, which is Star Wars Resistance, Solo. That's a wrap. Star Wars Battlefront 2, the next new hero, and Disneyland Night 2. Or Disney Star Wars Night 2. I'm sorry. I messed that up. Anyway, so yeah.
How you doing? How's everybody doing so far?
Resistance. Do you guys know what this is? Because like I kind of somewhat know what it is, but it's kind of one of those things of like,
physical force.
is a physical force.
Yeah.
The Resistance is a band of rebels that are trying to fight against the First Order. Oh wait, that's not part of the whole plot.
No.
Oh.
I'm like looking at you and giving you the death eyes.
Is this supposed to be like what RJ does? Did we not discuss who's doing RJ's part?
No, we didn't.
RJ's
This is
not here.
yeah. So we're kind of lost. This is Underworld 2.0.
Well,
The
here's
less budgeted version.
let's
less
let's start getting into it.
Yeah,
then. Let's go to business already. We're done with like being
Yes.
like
Dumb.
yeah, playing stupid here. But having fun at the same time
This is
while
definitely
while
the
our
budget
props are not
version.
working. See,
Wow.
this is the problem with our prop master.
I'm fine.
But anyway, okay, so the huge news out of Disney and Star Wars is the announcement of a new animated series called Star Wars Resistance. Little is known about it except that the only thing that is coming out of this, the big thing that was coming out of this camp, out of the Star Wars fandom, is once again Dave Filoni, the mastermind behind the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, is bringing us a new animated series. Based on it seems like it's gonna be like some type of aerial fighter movie featuring more pilot-esque, more air battles. We can only assume right now because it's only the announcement's just been made, but we
Like,
haven't had any.
what did they
screenshots.
actually? They announced literally the title.
That's
and
pretty
like
much.
yeah.
So
It looks
it's
like it-
inspired by World War II aerial fights, so dogfights, which actually a lot of Star Wars itself is inspired by that. The trench run sequence and the fight above the Death Star, the Battle of Yavin, and Star Wars: A New Hope is inspired by World War II dogfighting footage, and a lot of it is shot for shot from war documentaries. So Resistance is basically an animated show that's going to be inspired in the same way.
What is happening here?
I got it. I can talk and do this at the same time, so you're fine. So that's what it is. So it follows a pilot, and his name is Kazuda Shiono. We're not quite sure how to pronounce his name yet. We've asked the experts, and we're waiting to hear back. And we also have, I believe, the name of the actor who's playing Kashuda.
Sam Witwer?
No, it's a new actor. It's someone who has most of the people. In fact, I think all of the people that are going to be in the show, all the voice actors,
They're all new people?
Have not been in Star Wars before, which is interesting.
Well, that's good.
So there's really
we need new faces and new voices.
It's like a completely new cast, really. So that's pretty cool. I personally didn't recognize a single name. They're kind of they're some people that have done some big voiceover work, but they're kind of more like B-level on-screen actors, so I don't know all their faces and things, which is kind of basically what we got for the last few shows. I personally did kind of feel like the Rebels cast was more star-studded because I did know who Freddie Prinze Jr. was before.
He was the voice of Kanan.
Kanan, yeah.
For Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, I didn't know who any of these people were. But they look like super talented people.
They look because you've heard their voices.
When you look at what they've done, they all have a lot of experience acting.
Well,
so
I hope so.
I think they've made some really good choices for the actors. So that's good.
What is going on with that?
Oh, it's just going to happen the whole show. I got to find a place on the table where it fits.
Oh, that's why.
So looking at the names, the voice actors playing in Star Wars Resistance, there are two huge names in there that we do know of from the cinematic versions, from the cinema movies that we've been watching in Star Wars, and those two characters that are going to make another appearance in Star Wars Resistance in this new animated series are going to be Poe Dameron, for all of you Poe lovers and Oscar Isaac lovers. Yes, Oscar Isaac is coming back to voice the famous egotistical ace, been slapped 200-something times, Poe Dameron in this new animated series, as well as the loved and still underrated Captain Phasma. So Captain Phasma is going to be voiced by the returning actress Gwendolyn Christie, and I think that's absolutely right for Star Wars Resistance to do for this animated series to take a stand in and have these actors voice their respective characters. The additional voice actors, as I'm looking up here, that are going to be featured in the animated series is Bobby Moynihan, which is his name is familiar, and Donald Faison. He was an actor popular in the 90s, I think, from and comedian from some 90s TV sitcoms. Christopher Sean, Susie McGrath, Scott Lawrence, Myrna Velasco, Josh Brenner, Jim Rash, and Rachel Buterin. Now, I'm not familiar with these names either.
I wasn't.
I don't know who
except Bobby Moynihan and Donald Faison, which I think Bobby Moynihan, I believe, is a comedian himself.
A lot of these are comedians. In fact, what's interesting about this is most of the shows that these people have experiences on are comedy shows of some type.
Yes. So that means that this show is going to be more funny, and
yes.
I would assume not so much. It would be a little bit more lighthearted, and because it is like the animation from like if you I didn't switch the slide, my bad.
Mm-hmm. You can see it in the corner, right?
Well, yeah, we put it in there.
It's right there. See, that's what you can see.
Ron, point down.
Yeah, there we go, right there. That's
point down.
There we go. No, it's
that's right. That's
you
right.
can see an X-wing and BB-8 in like a background there, and you can see how it's kind of very simplified animation, but it does look more stylized than the Forces of Destiny animation, which is good because the Forces of Destiny information, the Forces of Destiny animation for me is too simple. Like I feel like it looks like something made with Flash. Like it doesn't look like a real animation to me. Whereas this definitely looks kind of more stylized, more kind of studio.
I personally think that's actually what I was gonna say. I was like, it looks more anime-esque. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, this is.
It's weird that they're calling the series. They're not calling it an animated series. They're calling it an anime series. Which brings
so they're actually calling it anime.
I'm pretty sure it says. Ron,
I think they've been referring it to it as an animated series with anime-esque style.
Okay, so there you go.
Okay,
yeah.
So
they are using the word anime.
That's good.
But then it's like, how does that even work? Because anime, by definition, is a Japanese cartoon, right? That's what anime is.
There actually have been animated features of Star Wars in the past using anime style, And
But
I think
they're fan made though, right?
I believe
Nothing official.
I don't think
Nothing that's canon.
that they've been made official, but I think there have been some fan made stuff.
I've seen.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I think there has been. I think I've seen an actual video. I do have to definitely look that up and see if we can bring that in, or talk about it in the next podcast about Star Wars Resistance, or hopefully wait for some more information until then.
Yeah.
Yes.
But for now, I'm actually interested and very intrigued about how they're actually going to be bringing about the storytelling with anime-esque art and anime-esque art style in this. I think for me, and I'm not a big anime follower, but I have watched anime. I know Klair is. Klair is our expert here on the Holofeed and Geek Radio about all things
and the
anime.
Anycast, which, by the way, if you do like anime, we do have an anime podcast. We do Run, but this week it is off because we're gonna be sitting down and talking about Infinity War next show, and that's gonna take up like 2 hours. That's actually
It's gonna be basically therapy.
Yeah, I'm kind of broken over it, and I realized something very drastic about myself watching it and watching all of the Marvel movies, but that's for next show.
Yeah.
I did see this video online of this guy, and he was talking about the way that Mark Hamill has, getting off of Star Wars Resistance really quick, just like talking about Star Wars in general. Someone actually made a really good point. Like, obviously, we feel really bad for Mark.
Yeah.
Because he seems.
Why do we feel bad for Mark?
He seems like he's broken.
Did he seem broken when we hung out with him? Not hung out, but we're next to him the other day.
I mean, I think he was happy, but like I think the Last Jedi has like kind of broken him.
I think this is complete BS. Like I don't think anything's changed with him. Like I think you're gonna see him at Star Wars Celebration. He's gonna be his normal self. Like I don't think it's that much of an issue. Like I don't know what to see where this is coming from. I think people are just making all this stuff up.
Well, no, like he said that
He's definitely said in multiple interviews that he feels
that
he feels it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same
anymore. It's not the same, but it's not like he's broken.
I think he's broken, but that's just me. Anyway, I don't.
Back to Resistance. So one thing that we haven't talked about yet is, I mean, by the name Star Wars Resistance, it's kind of obvious what this is about. But just to make it clear, this is about.
Isn't this a prequel to Episode 7?
Before Episode 7, at least the show's going to.
So it's this happens. The timeline of Star Wars Resistance takes place prior to The Force Awakens. So we might actually get some more backstory on Poe Dameron.
Right.
Well, which is what
I didn't even get. You were kind of in the middle of saying it, and I think we moved on to something else. But two voice actors that are in this that we do know is Oscar Isaac and Gwendolyn Christie, who are going to be reprising their roles as Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma in this series, which is cool. Yeah,
I'm actually excited to see how their voice on screen is going to translate to being behind the camera now and being recorded, which I don't think. Now, a huge respect to voice actors because a lot of people still in the industry don't credit them to be actors at all.
Yeah, that's true.
It takes. I mean, let's look
at
one of our most beloved characters. Obviously, Luke Hamill has voiced some of the greatest characters in animated series. One of them, obviously, being the Joker from Batman the Animated Series.
Luke Hamill.
So Luke Hamill.
Mark Skywalker.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Huge crossover.
See, I don't know if that was a mistake or that was like on purpose. It works though.
Everybody knows what it means.
It just
people just know how they do. And even Mark jokes about his own name being spelled with 2 M's, 2 L's, and just like multiple L's, and they just still don't know how to spell his name. But anyway,
at least they got it right on the start.
Yeah, right. Gosh.
Which is what we were talking about, that we were right next to Mark Hamill a few weeks ago.
That was cool. That was when he was getting his start, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I wish
that was
I was
like a month and a half ago now.
I had to live precariously through like a lot of the friends and
a lot of pictures and
through the pictures. Yeah, I was just jealous.
Yes.
So this story takes place. It starts. It may continue to go throughout the sequels, but it's gonna at least start before the sequels start with the timeline. And the lead character. Kashuda is a pilot in the Resistance, and I believe he's part of the Black Squadron, I think.
Isn't that
Which
Poe's
is
squadron? Yep.
Yeah. So and it actually says that the story, it says the plot of like I guess the pilot episode or the first season or whatever is them going on kind of like this special mission.
They're gonna get the Star Killer base plans.
I don't think they're gonna do that. They might. That's a good question. Do we know in Force Awakens? How did this Resistance find out about Star Killer base? Does Finn tell them? Or
Yeah,
do they know before
Finn's
that?
like, oh yeah, there's a big astro converter thing, and if you blow it up, it blows up, and they're just like, so it's a bigger Death Star. Well, yes, it actually is. Oh wait, this is a remake. What?
That's one thing about Force Awakens.
That's
that
the one thing
a little
I don't
under
like.
the belt.
I don't understand one thing about Force Awakens.
They just poked fun at the original.
Do you know the sequence when they're at Maz's castle
Yes.
and they, Hux has his big speech halfway across the galaxy, and then you see the laser beams, whatever, being shot across the galaxy, and then it kind of blows up these planets in the Hosnian system. And,
Yes.
And then it cuts back to
Maz's.
Maz's castle on Takodana, and someone's like, "It's the Republic."
Oh my gosh!
Like,
Wow.
Like what? It doesn't make sense at all.
But isn't that the Republic?
But how do they know that? And it's like literally they have them say it just so that they can explain to the viewer that the characters on Takodana know what happened. But how do the characters on Takodana know what happened? Like, how do they know it's the Republic? They just see explosions in the sky.
Well,
Disney, guys.
How do you know this?
well,
Disney.
I don't understand. This is
You're
like
supposed to assume that like
well, no,
Tinkerbell
I
or
would.
some of the like fairies came by.
Well,
in Star
I
Wars.
think a little bit of it is I think that was actually added in afterwards.
It was because it made even less sense before that.
Well, yeah, because they cut the whole Republic scene out. That they.
Well, you saw a little bit of it, but you didn't. They didn't explain that it was the Republic. You saw some the character that was in the movie for like 10 seconds. I forget her name, but
I just noticed you go.
you know who I'm talking about? The character that looks like one of the companions from Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think it actually is.
It
her
is,
too.
right? It's the Doctor Who actress.
I think her she played. I'm trying. I'm a bad Whovian. I don't remember. Yeah, it is her though.
So like
I'm gonna feel so dumb when you say her name because it's it's Martha. She plays
Martha.
Martha, but I don't know
Martha.
who.
I have no idea because I don't follow Doctor Who.
Oh.
It was a big thing before the movie because we were all excited and we're like, "Oh, Martha's gonna be in Star Wars," and then it's like she's in it for 5 seconds, and it's like, what?
You know the girl that they zoom in on when the red fireball is coming at them, and she's just like, she plays a companion in Doctor Who.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, she's on the
Like,
Hosnian system. But like I there's so many things that Force Awakens. And now that I think about it, there's so many things that are wrong with Force Awakens as well. I personally think that they should have explained the entire thing better, because the only reason why that line is in it, like obviously if they know where they are in conjunction to the galaxy, and if anyone is intelligent, they know, well, there's a big thing, someone's gonna blow something up, where they see like lines and it hits this. I assume that they would know that that is where the Republic Center is, but I don't know why they would have to say it outside of the fact that they need to tell the audience
Do
that.
they actually say the word Hosnian in Force Awakens?
Yes, they do.
When do they say it?
Don't know.
So basically, Force Awakens, I think, is actually a really well-constructed movie. Most of the criticisms I have of Force Awakens are just that they rip too much from the original trilogy, like having a trench run and having a desert planet, but naming it something other than Tatooine. And like I thought that was kind of weird that they did that. But other than that, like I really like the Force Awakens. I think it's a very strong movie, and I don't think there's really a lot of plot holes. But the one thing that bothers me is the backstory behind the New Republic. And
Yeah.
How it became the New Republic.
And just the fact that it's so glossed over in the movie what's going
Yeah,
on with the
so-
Republic. And then it just gets destroyed and we don't even know anything about it before it gets destroyed.
Well, I'm
Like-
hoping they.
Which this might have been captured in the novels. So
Freema Agyeman.
Let me see.
Freema Agyeman. is her name.
If anybody's listening and knows how
to
to
pronounce
fill in that gap in the timeline,
and how to also pronounce her name, because
how the First Order, the New Republic, came about, for our obviously new current trilogy that's going on right now. Please feel free to comment to us or tweet us on Twitter.
Tweet us on Twitter.
Tweet us on Twitter. Tweet us on Instagram.
FaceTime us on
FaceTime.
MySpace.
On my, yeah.
So honestly, I'm hoping Resistance kind of maybe that's what they're gonna do. Maybe that's
what I'm hoping.
That they go over and cover how the New Republic came to be and who they were and like all these characters.
It doesn't even have The Force Awakens on her IMDb, so I don't even know if I'm right in thinking it was her now.
It definitely was.
I thought it was.
If I'm not mistaken.
This is weird, but anyway,
we might be wrong, so we're looking it up.
The one thing I didn't like was that they didn't explain it enough, and so I'm hoping that this show, Star Wars Resistance, covers that at least in its own backstory. Like it doesn't. The whole show doesn't have to be about the New Republic. That would be really boring. I mean, look at the episodes of the Clone Wars that were about the Republic. Not really the best episodes of the Clone Wars.
They were the best episodes.
Yeah, but if they can at least explain more of that stuff in the screen time. Now we don't know if this is like, we're assuming this show is going to be like a half-hour long thing, but I mean we don't know really. They didn't say anything about how long the show's going to be.
They literally announced. They literally posted that graphic and that's it. And just like a new show, this is what it's called.
Yeah,
I'm just happy
that Dave Filoni is taking on this new thing, helming it, and I believe that he should be a new director.
I think he should direct the reboot of Episode 8.
Well, definitely should direct everything.
Well, they said that they were. Well, I think what was it? JJ was gonna retcon some of. I know we're divulging it. We're taking a whole different thing right here, but it was supposed talk of retconning Episode 8, or even Episode 7 for that matter. I think it's just Episode 8.
That's a complete rumor. There's nothing.
They won't do that. They put too much money in it, and the problem is that Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson and Lucasfilm as a whole are happy with Episode 8, so they don't care what we think. And this is the fundamental problem that I have with Star Wars right now. Is it seems to me, and this is obviously coming off of some things that Mark has said. They don't care about what the fans think. They made the movie that they wanted to make, and they had no thought of, well, would this be something that the fans wanted to see? Yes, the fans wanted to see something different, but they made Episode 8 basically not Star Wars. It is a Star Wars movie, but it's the least like Star Wars we've ever seen. And the fan reception was not that good. It wasn't terrible. It was kind of... There's more divide on it than, obviously Episode 7 had. And I'm not going to say that Force Awakens, or not Force Awakens, The Last Jedi was a terrible movie, because obviously it wasn't. It made a bunch of money, and, it's still a Star Wars movie, but it did not deliver on the promises that The Force Awakens set as precedents, as well as it didn't deliver on what the fans wanted. And I think that's the fundamental issue with The Force Awakens. Fundamental issue with Lucasfilm right now. And I'm not going to, and I'm going on a rant and a tangent, but I'm not going to say that Kathleen Kennedy is a bad person or anything else like that, but I feel that her vision is not where it needs to be for Star Wars. Now, obviously, we haven't seen Episode 9, and if they don't retcon anything, or if they don't change anything, which I don't think they will, and we see Episode 9 and it's great, and then it all makes sense, then good job. But for right now, we also have to realize that we're in the middle of a trilogy. We don't understand what things are going to transpire in Episode 9, and I'm hoping that they just fix something.
This is the problem. With Star Wars, the first Disney thing that we saw was Star Wars Rebels. That was the first Disney Star Wars thing we saw. And
I thought it was Clone Wars.
Clone Wars was not Disney.
No, Clone Wars was Lucasfilm.
Clone Wars was with George Lucas. He made that directly.
Okay.
Which is why it was so good.
Yeah, it was made in his house, basically. So that was made directly by Lucas. But the first Disney thing we saw was Star Wars Rebels, and they were in an awkward phase where they thought that the Clone Wars, first of all, it was too expensive. They couldn't afford to make it because they were losing money on Clone Wars. Actually, George Lucas was just making it for fun. It wasn't actually making money because it cost like $1 million to make each episode, and they couldn't recoup the cost from advertising. So that was one problem. And the other problem was they had no future projects on the horizon in the next 10 years in their 10-year plan to deal with the prequel era at all. They were like, I mean, it was nothing more than maybe a comic here or there or some inclusion of a character in a video game. There was no movies or TV shows that they were expecting to make that had anything to do with the prequels. So they thought, okay, we have this show that's too expensive, and it is in an era that has nothing to do really with the movies that we want to make and the TV shows, the other TV shows we want to make. So we're just going to end it and we're going to make something else. But the problem was they wanted to fill the gap really quickly. They wanted to make something really quickly to replace what the Clone Wars was because they felt like it was still important to keep that young audience.
Yeah, and
because that's what was bringing people into Star Wars. Because a lot of kids were watching the Clone Wars that were too young for, say, to sit down and watch Revenge of the Sith. And so it was bringing in all of these new kids, and they were
and it's animated, so that's the best way to capture kids
it was
too.
Growing an audience for what would become the film audience in a few years down the road. So they're like, okay, we need to make something really quick. But the problem was at the time, Force Awakens was still in development, and they had just begun to develop Force Awakens. They had just brought in Michael Arndt to start writing a script. So because they were so early in development, they couldn't create a show that had anything to do with the sequel trilogy because they didn't know what the sequel trilogy would be yet. So ideally what they should have done, if this had all worked, is this Star Wars Resistance would have been put out at the same time as Star Wars Rebels. But it was impossible because they wanted to develop a few movies first and give JJ and Kasdan and Arndt and Rian Johnson the chance to have a blank slate and do whatever they want and not to be boxed in by what a TV show was doing, and then build a TV show from the lore that they created. So the only way to solve this problem was for them to meet in the middle and create a show that was based around the original trilogy situations and characters that had a little bit of bearing on what was going on because Rogue One was about in the same era. Han Solo was going to be in the same era. At the time, they thought they were making a Boba Fett movie, and the Boba Fett movie would probably have been around the same time as Star Wars Rebels. And then you also have a little bit of a base where you see a few characters and a few situations like Mon Mothma, for example, that are going to show up, much, much later in the sequel trilogy and things like that. So, and what they did is they created Star Wars Rebels to try to be a compromise between all of these things that they want to do and to put something out, but also, it couldn't be ideally what should have been put out because of these problems. So what you ended up with is basically a half-assed show, ultimately. Unfortunately, it was set up to fail. It was set up to be kind of popular, but not too popular.
Not what Clone Wars did.
It couldn't do what Clone Wars would do, and it couldn't do what Resistance might do because, again, it's always.
I think Resistance is when it comes out. Like obviously, we don't know anything about it. I think that now that there is a developed story, like you said, I think Resistance will do very, very well, and it will go for the entire term of what they want to do,
so
rather than canceling Clone Wars when it got really, really good.
That's not going to happen again because that was not Disney. Disney didn't make that show, so that has nothing to do with
I
Disney's
know.
plan. But Rebels ended when they wanted it to end. Rebels didn't end because it was unpopular. They told the story of the characters and they ended. It wasn't like somebody said you have to stop making this show.
And they killed everybody.
No, they didn't. They got to the point where they said we're done making the show and we basically what it came down to is we have 2 movies out and we have a good idea of where the 3rd movie's going.
Yeah, I think
so that's when they're like, it's time to now make a series in the current timeline of what we're making.
Yeah, what Star Wars Rebels did, especially since I was watching that, I was hugely dedicated to that show, was give us a transition period to expose us to new possibilities in the Star Wars universe. Yeah. Which is great for future storytelling. Now that they've released that, and even if they're going back in the timelines with this new animated series, Star Wars Resistance, they can expand on that and try to just tie in everything together, which might be confusing for some because we are jumping timelines and not everything is going in chronological order.
It's not linear.
Yeah, it's
Can't.
we're going everywhere, and this is not a problem or any fault of the Flash. This is just the ideas behind the upper heads of consultants by George Lucas, obviously, and everybody who's at Disney, and Dave Filoni, who's the man behind it all, to say, okay, we've done this far. What can we? Basically, they're answering the questions of what can we do next.
Yeah.
And I think it's really up to the fans to really respond to it. And as far as the type of mediums that they're going to have Star Wars Resistance on, is it going to be featured on the not much
They're
talked
doing
about, but the Disney app?
They're doing the same thing as Rebels so far. They're premiering it on Disney Channel, and
Disney XD,
and then they're bringing it to Disney XD after
Right.
that. So
Right.
they're doing the same type of promotional thing and the same type of distribution.
So we're gonna see we hope to see some type of pilot episode. But speaking of Star Wars Resistance, I did get an answer about the pronunciation of Kazuda's last name, and right now it's my source said that she's still not sure about how the last name is pronounced. However, it might be talked about, I believe, this coming Wednesday on the Star Wars show. When you know Andy Gutierrez, who's the main face behind the Star Wars show, might bring that up. So we just have to wait on Wednesday to watch the Star Wars show, and
And
see
then we
if
will
they might
bring-
about
and then-
Star Wars Resistance because of this.
And then next Saturday, we will bring you up to date information.
yeah,
But-
So to correct the other thing, so it was not the actress behind Martha Jones in the
Was it
Force
not?
Awakens. It was not. It was Maisie Richardson Sellers, who is from DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay.
there you go.
So that's who it was, and she played the character of Cor Sella, is the name of the character, who was on screen for a very short period of time, including that one scene when Hosnian Prime's getting destroyed.
They look very similar.
And they
though.
do. I always thought that. I think that the Martha actress was like in some rumor to be that character, and that's why I like confused the two. Like,
Yeah,
casting
that's
rumor
why
or
I
something.
thought.
Because I thought that too, and so I didn't realize that they had changed it, and it was actually somebody from DC, not
Doctor Who.
So that's the other. But to continue what I was saying, just about like Kathleen Kennedy and the perception of her, and if she's doing a good job, and if they're actually heading in the right direction or the wrong direction.
Mhm.
That I just explained kind of what's going on with the animated universe, and how the reasoning behind why they did what they did, and how now I think that they're going to have an opportunity to do something a lot better, because now they're doing what really should be done, and that's doing something with the current timeline and the current characters like Poe and Phasma, and I think that's going to be great, and I think that also flipping formats from like a CGI show to a 2D animated show kind of refreshes them a little bit, so it's not going to be compared as much, and the style isn't going to be compared as much to previous shows.
Yeah, that
The
makes
problem with
sense.
Rebels is a lot of people would compare it with Clone Wars because it looks similar, and
It's not even the
Rebels-
same type of animation.
I mean, no, it's very close.
Very
It's
close.
close.
But there's still differences.
But a lot of people were making very direct one-to-one comparisons between the two, and the problem is that the Clone Wars had a larger production budget and was more cinematic. It was like a Pixar film on TV every week, whereas Rebels was not that. It was more like what we've seen in like the Transformers and Marvel, DC type shows. So okay, with the films, how the films are concerned, I think that the mixed bag of reception to The Last Jedi has created an undermining of faith in Kathleen Kennedy and Disney, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
And the thing is, this is what I think.
And the thing is that it wasn't there before.
It was not. Well, it was.
It
there, but
was there. It was.
wasn't- It was such a small contingent of people. Like, there obviously were people that from the second that it was announced that Disney was taking over were mad, and they were
Yeah.
going to be mad no matter what. Even if Disney did everything perfectly, they were still going to be mad at Disney. So we have to ignore those people because they're not rational.
Yeah.
Because if Disney can't do anything to satisfy you, then your opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So forget about them. But I think there's a lot of people that have come on lately who are like a little iffy on Disney because The Last Jedi didn't please as many people as we were expecting. And so, but here's the thing is, I don't think that's Kathleen Kennedy's problem. And I don't think that's Disney's problem. I think they're still handling things correctly. And this is my explanation for why there was a problem with The Last Jedi. I think that J.J. Abrams and Gareth Edwards, when they were directing their films, The Force Awakens and Rogue One, respectively, did a really... I feel like they were trying to make films that were kind of their own stories, but also were very Star Warsy and had a lot of beats and elements and characters in it and cameos that pulled fans back into the Star Wars universe out of like nostalgia. And Ryan Johnson, and I think the problem is that I think that Lawrence Kasdan and Kathleen Kennedy were really heavy-handed in making sure that Abrams and Gareth Edwards did this. And I think that originally, I think they wanted to perhaps make films that were a little bit different than, say, A New Hope. But because of Disney saying, hey, we need to make sure there's a lot of, like, obvious Star Wars things in here, like a desert planet or Ponda Baba or, like, things like that. Somebody needs to say, I have a bad feeling about this, like, all this stuff. Like, I think that what ended up happening is their productions were kind of slowed down a little bit by it. Because they had to rewrite The Force Awakens. That Michael Arndt had to turn the script over and leave the project and turn the script over to Kasdan and Abrams, and they had to reshoot Rogue One. Gareth Edwards, Henry Gilroy is it Tony or Henry Gilroy?
Henry. Mm-hmm.
Tony Gilroy is the Clone Wars producer. Henry Gilroy had to come in and redirect some of. The rumor is 40%. I don't think that's been confirmed, but the rumor is 40% of that movie had to be reshot. So I think what happened was. Ryan Johnson said, okay, if I don't want people breathing down my neck on this movie, I have to follow the same formula. I need to have a few things in it that are, like, super nostalgic. Like, I need to have, like, a scene with Yoda, and I need to have, like, stuff with, like, Carrie and Carrie and Mark and, like, stuff like that that's nostalgia. So he knew what the formula was, and he created something that was impeccable that no one could look at and read the script and say, oh, we need to change this. I don't believe that there was enough editing and revision on the script of The Last Jedi. Because Ryan Johnson was too smart and created something that Kathleen Kennedy and the story group looked at and said, well, this is what a Star Wars film should be. It's a new story, it's cool, but it also has all the elements that are going to make people nostalgia all over the screen.
So we're just gonna call Last Jedi, or just what you're saying is like that's all Last Jedi was like just to bring back with a little bit of nostalgia, but I'm gonna tell the story with my own little twist.
Exactly.
And throw in
and what he did is what's weird is of all of the projects, the project that has gone the most smoothly is The Last Jedi, which is weird because if you look at what happened,
despite the fan response,
because with Star Wars Rebels, you had Greg Weisman in there. And then he left and was replaced by somebody. You had Dave Filoni kind of floating in and out of supervising director. Yeah, he was Filoniing in and out.
Filoniing in and out.
So there was a little bit of stuff going on with that. Obviously, with the Boba Fett film got completely canceled.
Did it finally?
The Han Solo film, they got rid of the directors completely and reshot practically the whole film with Ron Howard. And you had, remember, The Force Awakens being completely rewritten, and you had Rogue One being at least reshot to a 40% thing. So like, they've gone through a process of tweaking and changing and making these things good. And Ryan Johnson was the only one who was able to do it all by himself without any help, without someone stepping in and saying, you can't do this, you need to do it differently. And so as a result of that, I think that because his initial script was so perfect to what they thought a Star Wars movie should be, just from a breaking it down on paper type way, that they didn't step in and oversee it enough to make sure that it was something that was actually good from a cinematic point of view. Because when you have multiple people rewriting something, or multiple people taking a scene and saying, oh, we can change this and make it a little better and redirecting it, you end up with a better product. Because more people you're going from draft A to draft B to draft C. If you just write something and make it and put it out, it's probably not going to be the best version of it that it could possibly be. If you have multiple people looking at it from different angles. And I think that's why all the people who think like Ryan Johnson like the movie. Because if you like the movies the way that Ryan Johnson likes movies and thinks a movie should go the way Ryan Johnson thinks, you like the movie, and that's fine.
Which is is the reason why I personally like The Last Jedi, which most people don't.
No, but
and a lot of people don't. But it is like I am a very obvious. Looper is in my top 10.
Yeah,
I like the story and the way that Looper is shot, and that's the first that is the first comparison that I made. It seems like a Ryan Johnson movie.
Yeah.
And I preach that, and I mean I still have not seen The Last Jedi a second time all the way through. I keep falling asleep.
Because you have no Ron Howard coming in, you have no rewrite by Kasdan, you have no Tony Gilroy or Henry Gilroy helping with the editing of the film and the pacing of the film, because you don't have these other people coming in and taking something that's pretty good and making it great and making it something that, say, 60% of people like to 90% and closing that gap, because that didn't happen. You ended up with a divisive film. You ended up with a film that only some people liked, and you ended up with people saying, oh, now Disney sucks and they're just going to put out garbage from now on, which is not fair, because most Star Wars projects are revised. They have multiple people working on it, and they end up being the best possible product. And if you look at how people responded to Rogue One and The Force Awakens, and how most people responded to Star Wars Rebels, those things were pretty liked. Those things were pretty popular.
Yeah, and
Disney
like
did a good job
what I'm worried about is now the
this is why I don't think Han Solo is going to suck. I don't lost faith in Han Solo because of Last Jedi.
Now,
because it's been redone, so I think it's going to be good.
Going into our next topic. Speaking of
we're talking
going
about Han.
into our. I'm trying to make simple cuts for me later, but okay. Going into our next topic of Han Solo, while we're talking about Han Solo, the Lando movie. We're done with production. It is in the can. It is done. It is ready to be put out.
That's why Ron Howard's here.
Just a minute. Hi guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my film.
Last Sunday, post-production officially finished for Solo, leaving just over a month before the movie is out.
That means it needs to release now.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for? You're sitting on a finished movie.
It's not like there's a bigger... It's not like there's a bigger movie that's right before.
If you want to take over Infinity War, do it now.
If they moved Infinity War up, let's move Star Wars up to May 4th. Hello.
May 4th. Wait, May 4th is Saturday. Isn't it Friday, too?
It's a Friday, yes.
Yeah.
May the 4th is a Friday.
That's funny. It could have been.
Force Friday.
Oh, anyway. No, I agree with you. I don't think that the the reception of The Last Jedi is going to affect Han Solo. And it's going to affect Episode 9 and any other Star Wars movie that comes out past this until they make it. Now, if Han Solo is fantastic and it's phenomenal and everybody goes and sees it, everybody loves it, and it's good, which is not going to be the case because it's not Harrison Ford. There will be a negative fan reception. Regardless, that's just because people like to fucking hate on Disney just because they can.
Why would you hate on Disney? Like, Disney
I don't know.
Is the most respectable corporation in the world.
Yeah, they love all people.
I understand no one's perfect, and I understand they probably have things in their history that aren't the best. But come on, like, Disney is contributed very positively to the art of our culture. Like,
this is true.
Extremely positive.
Yeah, and that is true. I mean, despite, some problems that they do have. But going back to what I was saying, just because Disney made a movie that some people did not like does not mean that every single movie that is going to follow is going to suck. And that's what you were saying as well, is...
Because there's not a problem with Disney. They just handled... There was a little bit of a problem in the production of this one film. And it's unique to The Last Jedi. The problems I think that were in The Last Jedi were not problems in previous films, and I don't think they're going to be problems in future films.
No, and now they know. They know not to just let someone... Now, what I am concerned about is this Rian Johnson trilogy that they have announced and that they are going to have, which I don't know... Is that still happening?
Yeah, the Rian Johnson thing's still happening, and there's another thing I got to say, too.
Okay.
From a box office point of view...
The Last Jedi
was a huge success because if you look at the drop-off in ticket sales from A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back and from Phantom Menace to Attack of the Clones, they were massive drop-offs. And the Last Jedi just made a little bit less than The Force Awakens.
Yeah, opening weekend and even overall.
So that it did better than usual sequels in Star Wars trilogies do.
Yeah.
So that's great too, as well for them.
Yeah.
It's even though it was a controversial film, people still saw it. I still saw it 6 times, even though it's my least favorite Star Wars film.
You're gonna get a lot of people to buy into it anyway, just because the name is just out there, Star Wars. I mean, for anybody who's been following Star Wars for all this time, ever since '77, you know that at least there's some high expectation for it. Yet the fans always put a low expectation so that they don't get their hopes up too high. Yeah. And kind of overindulge or underindulge themselves in the whole in the whole fan base. Now, but I wanted to bring something up. You mentioned about which is a question I put up on our Twitter feed. Will the perception and understanding of the Last Jedi kind of affect Solo?
Yeah, no.
You know what?
I think what's going to end up happening is that it's not going to beat opening weekend over Deadpool, because Deadpool is coming out the weekend before, and it's also going. I think so. My prediction for Solo is it's actually going to come in third, because Infinity War and Deadpool are coming out.
I don't think it will beat Black Panther either.
Because Black Panther is...
Yeah, because Black Panther is Black Panther.
No, it will be the fourth or fifth highest grossing, and it might even not be the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom either.
Oh, wait, when is that being released?
July, I think.
Isn't it...
No, I'm talking about opening weekend for the actual weekend.
Okay.
I'm talking about total gross.
Okay, yeah, total gross, no, it will be 4 or 5. No, what I'm talking about is the actual weekend that Solo is out, people will still be watching Deadpool because it comes out the weekend before, and people will still be going to see Infinity War. Because they will. And, like, people are going to go and see Infinity War for the next 3 weeks. That's the reason why it got moved over. We have 3, like, these are 3 huge movies.
Yeah, these are a crucial, like, 2 months. And then we have to wait for December for more Star Wars stuff.
Well, no.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I take that back.
A year.
I was already fast-forwarding to 2019.
We have a year and a half before
I was
anything.
waiting for...
So, Solo has 2 weeks before Incredibles takes all of the young kids, because that's what's going to end up happening.
Is do really well,
So we have 3 weeks of Infinity War, that's going to dominate. Yeah. Just like Black Panther dominated for 3 or 4 weeks, and it's still in theaters. It's still in theaters. Yeah. It's coming out on DVD in like what?
May 14.
Yeah, in like 2 or 3 weeks,
That's
and it's
a fast
still in
turnaround
theater.
for a Blu-ray release. That is one of the fastest turnarounds I've seen for a Blu-ray release.
Yeah. Incorrect. The fastest turnaround for a Blu-ray...
No, I said one of the fastest.
Okay. So the fastest turnaround for a Blu-ray release was Star Wars: The Clone Wars. The actual animated movie.
Yeah,
okay.
It came out... It was in theaters, and it was on DVD and on Blu-ray 4 weeks later.
Because they had to get it out before the show premiered.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Which the show premiered like less than 2 months after.
Yeah. It was on DVD. It got
6
pulled...
weeks.
Yeah, no. It came out on DVD like 3 or 4 weeks after release.
But as a major film,
as a major
film release.
Yeah, that was a special. Black Panther is still in theaters. Like, you can go and see it today if you really want to use your movie pass for Black Panther instead of. If you want to use your movie pass instead of Infinity War, go and see Black Panther. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. It is a good movie. I just, whatever.
Actually, I think I paid for Black Panther, so I can't see
I paid for Black Panther.
I can see
I paid for Black Panther. I had to. I'm always the one to, like, okay, let me enjoy the experience in a theater, because that's what I just love.
This is interesting. I did a lot of research about box offices and opening weekends and stuff, because I want to bring it up on our next show as well, to talk about Marvel. And what I realized about Star Wars is almost every Star Wars film has been the highest grossing film of that year that it came out. Yeah. There are only a few ones where that wasn't the case. And those few ones are Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and Rogue One. So there's only 3 Star Wars films. Now, we're not including the Clone Wars because, again, special circumstances. Yeah. But there's only 3 of the, I think there's now been 9 Star Wars films, right? There's 8 saga films in Rogue One. Yes. So there's been 9 Star Wars films. 6 of them have been the biggest films of their years. 3 of them haven't. So I think that Han Solo is obviously going to fall in that category with Rogue One and
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. But even Return of the Jedi was the biggest movie of its year.
2 weeks ago, RJ and I had talked about Star Wars and kind of like the feeling that we kind of have around this movie, and we compared it akin to like a Mission Impossible esque movie, where you're gonna
it's gonna be a heist movie,
risky, like a thrilling, because let's just take the basic understanding, the fundamentals of who Han Solo is. He's a smuggler, so he's gonna have to whisk his way and be sly about certain things, about how to get his way around, and obviously he's gonna be working alongside Donald Glover as, of course, Lando, who is also another smuggler. So you're gonna see some people. You're gonna see those 2 characters taking risk and really trying to be rebellious in their own way. Yeah. And doing that, you do have it looks like by the second trailer that was out, you do have a lot of great action sequences.
Yeah, I think it's going to do well, and I think it's going to surprise people.
I'm setting my expectations low, by the way.
Yeah, no, my
expectations
low.
Yeah, but they're getting higher with every day.
every day I'm like more excited.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're going to Toronto to go and see it, and like I'm gonna sit here and you and me need to go and see it like opening night if you're not busy.
I can do that.
I mean, and
Red carpet.
All the LA people need to see it.
Yeah,
together.
so yeah, we should. Like anybody that lives here, just come watch
I also,
Star Wars with me.
Before we sat down and watched Infinity War, which we will be reviewing in a few minutes on Geek Radio on the stream. We got to see the second trailer for Solo in theaters for the first time, which was
it was
great.
interesting. It was it looked a lot better on screen.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this for ever since it came out.
Like it looked really good on screen. So Solo, I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I don't think it's going to be the shit show that everyone thinks it's going to be. I just don't.
I thought it was going to be like a year ago. Now I think people are
like,
a
okay,
little more
whatever.
realistic about it. I think there was like the sky was falling back. I mean, they had to. I mean, they removed the director. They fired the director.
Yeah.
It looked like it was going to be a mess. Ron
Yeah.
Howard really, I think, did a fantastic job.
Ron Howard.
Ron, you did a fantastic job cleaning up the mess. And now we're all excited for your movie when we thought the sky was falling last year.
Yeah. But to close this subject off, I think what do you think your rating for Solo, like as a prediction, where do you think it's going to be, like in the scale from a 1 to 10? What kind of movie is it going to be? Is it going to be a 1 or is it going to be a 10?
I think it's going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy of the Star Wars franchise.
Really? So it's
Wow.
going to be the 11?
That's what I'm
It's going to be an 11.
You know what?
It's gonna be
That's
different,
that's
but
a
in a
good
way.
that's a good way of putting it, because
Yeah.
you're going in on okay. Here's the thing. We know who Han Solo is. We don't know part of his background into it.
Yeah.
We didn't even know from on the Marvel side. We didn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were cinematically.
Yeah.
For those of you who've been following the comic books, I'm sure you know about them. But
obviously,
this was the first exposure to Guardians, so that's a fair assumption. A pretty fair comparison. It was like, okay, let's take a ballsy move and introduce something, a story that we've never really introduced before. Dig deep into it, and then we'll throw in a lot. And I think this is going to be the same. And I think this is going to be the same thing with Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Let's throw in a lot of things in there that fans will catch through Easter eggs or little previews of what's to come, so that we can build a connection, which will still have the fans going like, "Oh my God, is that what I think it is?" You know, that type of interaction.
It's the Castle Rock.
I
which
think
has already been
it's
spoiled
going
in toys, by the way.
It's going to surprise people, but I think I'm gonna give it like a 7 out of 10. What do you think it's going to be?
I'm gonna give it about a 6.5 to 7.
Okay,
that's only because I'm setting my expectations low. Now because I've had my feeling about it just by the vibe of itself. Is it really gonna be doing that well? And I think it was me kind of picturing, okay, do I get the feel of Han Solo? Because I'm stuck on Harrison Ford as being Han Solo.
I think it's going to take some time. It's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes to realize, oh yeah, this is Han.
I might have to see it a couple times.
Yeah,
like
and
the first time
true.
will be obviously when you're a fan of these things. When you go see it for the first time, you're going to be like, okay, all right, so that's that. But then
it's
on
going to
the
take multiple
second time,
viewings.
you're going to be like, now I understand that. Okay, I see how that happened. All right, so I missed that part. All right, now I heard what he said. So you're going to catch probably a lot of dialogue, a lot of things that you didn't see the first time around when you watch it. And that might actually build the excitement even more when you find that stuff. Also, in that, obviously, the biggest thing in promoting the movies is word of mouth. So when you get fans talking about it with each other, as we are, as the reason why we have these podcasts and web streams, is to be able to talk about it and build the excitement for it.
Exactly.
So I think, coming later, my rating might actually go up.
Yeah,
so
we'll redo ratings when we do that.
Lower so it can go up. And
Yeah.
for me, like, I expect, because my expectations started out so low and they have slowly gotten higher, because they started out so low, I still think that it's going to exceed my expectations, because it's definitely going to exceed all my prior expectations. I just don't know really what my expectations are going to be going right into the movie. I think a lot of it's going to depend, too, on what the reactions are from the premiere, which I've got to correct something that was said on the show last week. So the movie is not premiering at Cannes a few days before it is in America. That is when it is premiering to all audiences in France, which is where Cannes is. Cannes Film Festival ends the Saturday before Solo comes out. So the latest that the movie can premiere is the Saturday prior, which would be about 5 days before it comes out in America.
I think.
Okay, so
that thing we were saying before about it's premiering so close to the public premiere because they don't want bad reviews to influence sales. That's not true.
Yeah, I think
it's just because of the timing.
It's because because it is premiering in France on the 23rd, but that's for everybody in France. That's not the one.
Okay, so that's it's coming out in.
It's coming out on the 19th. 19th, I think, is going to be when the premiere is that the press is going to see.
Okay.
That's
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm anticipating if they're going to be doing a live broadcast or live show.
Yeah.
I think
I know invites have gone out because I've seen a few of my lucky friends say I got invited to cons.
They might do the Star Wars show. Red carpet premiere over there at Cannes or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to see the live stream and sometimes watching the live streams of the red carpet premieres actually builds up my hype, and
exactly.
That definitely happened to me.
Or
for
when
Infinity
you're
War.
right outside it.
So that's the thing with me is like let me watch these special streams and see what comes out of that. Comes out of that.
For sure.
Getting into our next topic, really quick, we're gonna talk about Battlefront 2 really quick and just discuss that General Grievous is the next character that's going to be unlocked for the special thing. I don't know how Battlefront 2 works. I don't want to play it. I don't care. And I just like cool, awesome, cool. That's this new story for me. I'm not happy with the way that they did anything in Battlefront 2, and I'm hoping when they make the third one, which I think is in production, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be a lot better. I just want
said
them
that
to
about 2.
Well, yes, but 2 is a lot better than 1 was.
Okay, because I actually played.
Honestly, I just want KOTOR back. That's all I want.
Wow, reboot of KOTOR.
That's all I want.
I think
and
no,
I
actually
don't
they did.
Want EA to touch it.
They did.
I want Obsidian
not a reboot.
to make it. That's who I want it. I want Obsidian to make Battlefront 3.
So you're saying the Master Chief won't appear in...
Obsidian did not make Master Chief.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, Ron,
Obsidian
you
did
experience with this.
Fallout New Vegas.
Like, okay, I played Battlefront 1, and it was a really hard game to play. Gameplay controls were just out of whack. Yeah. It was almost playing stop motion. In a way, so it was very discombobulated. Now, when I looked at Battlefront 2, especially the gameplay footage that a lot of people had, I thought, oh, this was going to be better. But somehow some of the reviewers still said that it's still sketchy, there's still a lot of glitches, there's still a lot of things that needed to improve on. So I was very, very looking forward to getting Battlefront 2, but I held back on it for those particular reasons, because I've had some friends who play Battlefront 2 and they're saying it's not that good, and these friends of mine who are gamers are pretty reliable sources to me personally.
Well, I'm a gamer too, and I didn't even want to touch it because I knew that it was going to be good.
It's not a game for gamers, that's for sure.
It's not. That's the thing.
It's a game that's for casual fans, but the problem is it's still too much of a game for them to like it.
Yeah,
it's in a weird space where it's like too difficult for casual gamers, but too easy and simplistic for gamers.
Yeah,
and so they tried to.
They basically
they
sold
a lot.
They sold a lot, and the problem is
the reviews are bad.
The reviews are really bad, and I personally don't particularly care too much about unlocks and stuff in games unless if it's Overwatch, because I'm a completionist and I have 500 hours in that game because I'm a Tracer main.
You got 1 hour today, put in. Or is that Fortnite?
No, I was playing Overwatch.
Okay, so you got 1 hour put in today?
I was.
You had 499 before. Anyway, continue.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. I play a lot of video games.
I'm not saying.
Anyway, I personally, I think it's cool. Like the other stuff that they said that they're giving him like abilities like a buzzsaw and lightsaber spin.
Well, that's important.
You gotta be at least choose a character.
I'm like, okay, cool, and a stun slam.
I think the problem with Battlefront is I think what people really want is people want a Star Wars version of Fortnite or Overwatch.
I think that would be good. Yeah.
Is we need more of an open world type game.
But neither Fortnite or Overwatch are either. You mean people want a Fallout or a Skyrim version
that
of
would be
Star
even
Wars?
better.
That's what Obsidian. That's what I want
Yeah,
Obsidian to do.
That's kind of what KOTOR
By the way,
originally
Obsidian
did.
Studios
was
did
that
Fallout
huge-
New Vegas,
Yeah.
which is my favorite
It's like
video game of
KOTOR,
all
yeah.
time.
See, that's what KOTOR. That's what the success behind
Well, that's
behind
why-
KOTOR was that
and
open
obviously,
world
like-
decision making.
Like moving off of Battlefront 2, that's what Project 1313 was. Star Wars 1313. It was an open world game made by a studio that actually who was producing that? Was that Obsidian?
Was it Square Enix? Maybe I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure. Please, Disney, if you see this, bring back 1313. Please, we need it.
I don't know why that failed. It was like a weird thing.
It's because Disney bought Star Wars.
I think the company that was making it failed.
Yeah, something like that.
I'll look
Licensing business issues.
Yeah.
It's always
Anyway, moving on into our last topic of the day, we are going to be discussing Disney's announcement of Star Wars Night Day 2. So on May 3rd, which is the eve of Star Wars Day, which, you know, obviously May the 4th be with you, they are having like a special Disney Day thing that is all Star Wars themed, and they did this a few years ago, correct?
No, this
They
is
did
actually the first.
Is this the first?
This
Because
is the
I
first
remember-
Star Wars night that they're actually doing.
Okay, so
That's
I
open to the
this,
public.
this was
that's open to the public
They
because
did
this
one
is-
for
this is-
celebration ticket holders once.
no, they did it for the reason why I'm thinking of that is because they did Star Wars Night for cast members,
Okay.
and I was there because my dad used to be a
Okay,
cast
I see
member.
what you're
That's why
saying.
I'm thinking. I'm like, wait, this is not the first time that this has happened. Why is this news?
So it doesn't say
But
it's
the
second
real,
in the article.
so
Okay.
no, it is the second day. So there was, it sold out. So it's $100. And by public demand, on May 1st, now you can buy tickets for the second night, which is May 9th, for $99 a
there's
person.
a second because
So
they added a
they
second.
added
there
a
was
second
there was a huge demand. I was reading about it earlier. There was a huge demand for them to actually hold a second Star Wars night because of how quickly the initial one sold out. Because
Yeah,
for
didn't
annual
they sell out in like an hour?
it sold out pretty fast. So the annual pass holders got their preview sale, and then it was open to the public right
And then it
after
was
that.
gone.
And then it was just like snap.
And
gone.
what they did is they were just like, okay, so we're gonna have it on May 9th. So
yeah, tickets went out like Infinity
on
War.
May
Like,
9th, and the
snap.
thing is, on May 9th only, you get 2 movie-themed pins from Solo. You get a book signing and a meet and greet with Star Wars voice actress Ashley Eckson, which is Ahsoka. And then both nights will have after-hour access to the attraction. So basically, the reason why this is a big thing is basically they closed down the park for the people that buy these special tickets to go and do whatever they want, and everything is Star Wars themed.
So people who are listening and people who are, watching, and if you're Disney fans, there's gonna be a lot of Disney bounders. There's gonna be a lot of, if you don't know what Disney bounding is, it's basically kind of dressing up themed after your favorite characters.
It's like Dapper Day, but
it's like Dapper
Disney.
Day, but
I want to go to Dapper Day.
There's a Dapper Day convention now or something.
which just passed.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a fall one, I think, in
Yay.
August or something like that, or
Yeah.
September. But no, it is a huge. It's gonna be huge for a lot of people. There's gonna be special collectibles, especially. I think.
Yeah, and I
they
think
haven't announced. I don't know if it's on the site. I probably overlooked this, but they might have whatchamacallit, a special annual pass holder giveaway.
Yeah, something
exclusive to them.
They'll have a bunch of different things
If only
like
it wasn't
so.
a
So basically, they have a special theme for Star Tours, which continues on Space Mountain, which it has the overlay of Hyperspace Mountain that they've had for the last couple of years.
Are they adding the overlay back for
Yes,
Space Mountain?
they're doing that for those 2 days.
That's amazing.
Which is cool because they haven't had that in, I think, since I think they did it for the weekend of Celebration. They also did it right around
Force Awakens.
Force
Yeah,
Awakens.
but I don't
So
remember if they did it for Rogue One or not.
they did not. They did not do it for Last Jedi because they just didn't.
Yeah.
But like that takes place on that's
May 9th.
May 3rd and May 9th.
So it's on a Thursday.
Yes.
Thursdays.
So I don't know if tickets are still available for this, but I'm assuming like this is like I think you have to buy the Disneyland tickets and then it's $100 extra to do this or something.
Is that the case?
I don't know.
That's
Either
nuts.
that or it's $100 for the night.
So if you are an annual pass holder and that's not blacked out, you still have to pay an extra to get in.
I think
Or
so.
you
I'm not
can-
entirely
'cause You were
sure.
saying that the pre-sale was open to the annual pass holders, which suggests they had
pre-sale-
to pay.
It might be just for the night. It's $100. We will get back to you guys on that in.
It's probably by next week.
Yeah, we'll
It'll
figure
happen
out.
by then.
Well, no, not
The
for
first one will have.
yeah, the first one, but not the second one. So maybe I think they're sold out though. I think they're already sold out. But going off of that, that's all we have to talk
I
about
have one
today.
thing, when
You
about
can.
what we were talking about before
Mhm.
with 1313. It was being produced in house by Lucasfilm.
Okay.
And they decided that they didn't want to produce video games in house anymore, and they wanted to contract out to other people, and so that's why the game was canceled.
That makes sense. And nobody wanted to take it.
And no, yeah, they couldn't get anyone to take it.
Obsidian could have taken it.
Well, it's like,
I'm as
they deleted. It wasn't just the fact that that game got canceled. What happened is they actually laid off everyone working for Lucasfilm video games. Lucasfilm
Scheiße.
shut down. Yeah.
Scheiße.
And now I remember that being a thing, but I forgot about it because it was traumatic and I blocked it out of my
Yeah.
mind. But yeah, they fired hundreds of people. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, to close out the show, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and hanging out with
Don't
us.
turn off the stream.
Do not turn off the stream. Not Holofeed. This is Holofeed.
Yeah.
We are going to have
An Avengers Infinity War therapy talk.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about Avengers Infinity War. We're going to start talking without spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, you can get our spoiler-free reviews of the film at the beginning of the stream, and then we'll warn you before we start talking about spoilers. But if you have seen it, then you can watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And with us.
So we will have spoilers about 10 to 15 minutes in, but we'll
Yeah.
have the first 15 minutes, and I'll keep track
About
without
probably
spoilers.
less than that.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, may the force be with you.